Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
And I'm Paul Hankins.
and welcome to On the Air with Power Squared. This week, we decided to talk a little bit about collecting and collections, mostly because you recently sold a collection
Yes.
as of like today. And just in general, what was it that you sold?
Well, we sold a lot of Transformers from our otherwise large collection.
Okay.
It was kind of across the spectrum from like G1 to Cyberverse, but including the movies. But a bulk of it was G1 and G1 related stuff.
Okay. And why did you decide to?
Uh, well, what kind of started the whole thing with filtering out the Transformers collection was we had rewatched the 2001 cartoon Robots in Disguise, also known as Car Robots in Japan, and we realized that was more of our nostalgia. So we decided to refocus our collection on the 2001
Okay.
series.
All right, makes sense. And that's part of what collecting is about is you can upgrade your collection, or you can thin it out, or you actually, I'm not going to get to how much you made, but you made, some good coin by selling this.
Yeah.
And so that I assume you're going to probably, put aside and save, for, we're going to laugh. But that's part of collecting is you can tire of something and you still want to collect more 2001 Transformers. It's just you don't have to do the G1 anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Is that it's something that a lot of people, especially I'll say, geeks, collect stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is so that you can have, it brings you a little closer sometimes to what you're interested in.
Yeah.
Because you can, I have this, this special thing or, whatever.
Yeah.
And I can get something signed by somebody and all that.
Yeah.
So, besides Transformers, what else do you collect?
Well, I think since I was able to, I've been into collecting video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's largely, I pretty much only get video games that I'm actually interested in playing, so my backlog is larger than I'll probably ever get around to, as with all entertainment collections. But I end up getting some like pretty cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like one time we found a Dreamcast copy of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which was the first piece of JoJo media ever released in the U.S., and that actually appreciated greatly.
Oh, that's good.
But the appreciation was kind of a bonus.
Right.
We've also been able to get some things signed, like we got at Comic-Con, which is where we get a lot of our signatures. I got a couple of Metal Gear games signed by voice actors, and we also got a copy of Sonic Adventure signed by Takashi Iizuka, and we got a copy of God of War 4 signed by director Cory Barlog.
And it's, again, we're talking about collecting physical media.
Physical media.
I guess people can have a digital collection, but you can't get that signed.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about NFTs. But
one of the cooler signatures that I've gotten for a video game collection was I got James Gunn's autograph on Lollipop Chainsaw before he made it big with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah.
Going to that signing. It was midnight in Hollywood or something like that.
Yeah. It was worth it, though.
It was fun. I still have the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And San Ramiro.
Yeah.
We sort of stole that. So that, I mean, again, everything kind of, it's part of like who you are, and you can then take some of that stuff and apply it to other interests.
Yeah.
Like San Ramiro.
Yeah.
In Power Squared. I know that you. Is there some, holy grail of like video games that you'd want to have if you could?
I guess if I could, I would have a copy of Silent Hill 3, because that game got a bit too expensive during the pandemic. I kind of wish I had that. I'm sure there are some others I could think of if I had the time to
Right. I'm just
consider it.
Because every collection, if you're collecting something, there's usually the pinnacle,
Yeah,
the thing that you really want,
yeah,
and maybe it's not everybody's, we're all going to get Action Comics #1,
yeah,
but there's something that you're out there like, I really want to have that.
yeah.
So that is what you'd want to have for a video game.
That's one thing. There's something that's still a possibility. Limited Run just did a thing where it was switched copies of No More Heroes 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I played the first game and I really liked it. A few of those copies are going to be randomly signed by Suda51,
Mm-hmm.
who created the series and directed the first one, so fingers crossed on that. I was thinking if I had the opportunity, I'd probably try to get it'd be really cool, like getting Hideo Kojima to sign one of the Metal Gear games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. It almost happened once, but that fell through, and it wasn't our fault at all.
Was that?
Because he was announced to be at this one location, and they didn't know what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, that happens sometimes with conventions. So, besides video games, is there something else you collect?
Yeah, I collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Now, what got you started doing that?
The anime.
Okay.
The first episode of the anime.
And you went, I got to hit collect every card that they put up.
I was hooked ever since.
Okay.
We've been collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards since they first came out, but we were like little kids at the time, so we weren't fully attuned to like values and rarities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the Wild West for us, and it was actually a little hard at first to find a stable place to buy the cards.
Right.
It was like our first hit was packs from a 7-Eleven.
Right.
They actually did that one time. And then there was a local place the kind of local place that sold them, so we went to them for a while, and then
Kitty World?
Yeah, Kitty World, which is gone now.
Right. The proprietress died.
Yeah. So we then we were buying product from them, but it wasn't until like partway through the GX era, or specifically the Shadow of Infinity booster, that we got hip to buying boxes.
Uh-huh.
So we've been buying boxes ever since. Now, buying boxes can seem like a waste to some people, but it has allowed us to get some really cool stuff. Like, one card that I'm going to hold on to forever is this Ghost Rare Elemental Hero Chaos Neos that is misprinted with the name Rainbow Dragon.
Dun, dun, dun.
And
that sounds like it sounds like the equivalent of there used to be airmail stamps, and there was a whole sheet that was printed upside down, and that was like a big collector's item if you were collecting stamps.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake.
Yes. Again, that one's appreciated in value, but to me, the value for that is secondary.
Now, you just bought a box. There was a new release this week.
Yeah, of Lightning Overdrive, and I pulled it for the second time. I pulled a Starlight Rare card, This time it was Line of the Light Charmer Lustrous.
And you think that's attributable to the fact that you're buying kind of in bulk?
Yeah. Now, of course, that was a super lucky random chance because of how hard it can be to pull a Starlight Rare since they introduced them. But I was able to pick a random box and
That's pretty
get
cool.
it that way, pulled it that way. Oh yeah, after Kitty World went away, we switched to Cardboard Legends.
Uh-huh.
They're actually closer.
Right, they're just up the street.
And we've been
Insert ad here.
and we've been like really good patrons since then.
Okay.
I've also with Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been able to because we go to Comic-Con. We brought that up before. One time we happened to be in just the right place at just the right time, and we have 2 copies of Get Your Game On. This is only available at the World Championship 2007, and that one happened to be hosted at Comic-Con. We wanted to duel people because we're kids, we had decks. And so we went into the room where they had that, and someone, I guess a representative, was walking around, and they asked us, like, you want a free card? And we were like, okay.
Well, good.
And now we have 2 really rare cards.
That's cool.
And then one year at Comic-Con, the coolest thing that happened was we got autographs from the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Kazuki Takahashi.
Right, that was a ticketed
Yeah.
event. One of those. I think we talked about this on the show before. Kind of a random. I think we were ragging about Viz.
Yeah.
But it was a random ticket drawing, and which was. It's kind of mean if you stand in line and sorry we didn't. You're.
Yeah.
But there was 4 of us. We were able to get 2 tickets.
Yeah, miraculously. Let's see.
And then you were able to get this. It's a really nice piece.
Yeah.
It's the character Yu-Gi-Oh! And he signed it to you in
Yeah,
Japanese.
it was Yamayugi. It was an original drawing created just for that signing. And yeah, he personalized it to everyone who was able to get it in Japanese.
That's really cool.
And we even put them in like museum glass.
Yes.
And,
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, free but cost a bunch of money. But no, that's kind of what you have to do. And there are certain things like that. That's kind of a really cool little find in collecting
Yeah.
that you wouldn't necessarily, if you weren't collecting, you wouldn't be looking for it. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of, we've had experiences with Yu-Gi-Oh! That tie into like upgrading your collection.
Mm-hmm.
It is a trading card game after all. We haven't actually done. At some point, people are trading cards like for money.
Mm-hmm.
But one time, I was able to actually trade cards trade a card for one that I actually wanted, or needed for a deck I was building. I needed a copy of Crushed-on Hockey Fibrax, but I couldn't afford it because it was like $30. It was just really high for a single. So but I happened to have a copy of Kitchen Dragon Maid that I wasn't going to use, so I was able to
Trade it.
Yeah, trade it.
Now, I remember early on when you were collecting these, and this is kind of a point of reference for people because there are counterfeit things out there.
Yeah.
There was I would say it's a donut shop nearby that had a vending machine that was selling what looked like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but they were actually stickers.
Yeah,
right?
they were fake Yu-Gi-Oh. And then and there are also vending machines that sell like fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Right. So you have to be kind of careful of that. And that's kind of the part of if you're collecting something, there's value. There's going to be something out there that's counterfeit.
Yeah. There's counterfeits for all kinds of collectibles, so it's up to you to have the knowledge to make sure that you are getting something authentic.
Right.
And of course, the best way to ensure that it's authentic is to buy directly from the manufacturer, or to Yu-Gi-Oh cards, get them from the sealed pack.
Also from a reputable dealer.
Yeah,
Right.
like our local game store is a reputable dealer.
Right. And their name is again Cardboard Legends.
Yes.
So, if they want to sponsor us. All right. So, and I know that you recently also sold a part of a comic book collection.
Yeah. That was also Transformers books. So it was part of our sort of purging part of the Transformers collection to refocus it. But we still have some comic. We still have a lot of comics in our collection. One of the coolest things that I have was a signed copy of New Mutants number 98,
Right.
signed by the co-creators of Deadpool. Because I was really, really into Deadpool.
Right. No, and that was and that was we got that for you when you graduate college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a sort of a gift
Yeah.
at the local comic book store, and then you were able to get that signed at Comic-Con,
Yeah.
and he charges a lot of money for that.
Yeah. Liefeld kind of overvalues his signature.
Is it just on that comic book, or is it any?
It's just on the big key issues like that one.
Okay, because he knows that you're trying to,
Yeah.
you're adding value to it, so he makes sure he gets your little.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's where you sign anything, I guess.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll add to the value of it.
But we also have some comics that are cool to us, like the run of the Bionicle comic when it was published with Lego magazine.
Right, yeah. We still have the Bionicle shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some weird stuff. I mean, but that's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like when you see a book in a bookstore that you want.
Yeah.
If you don't get it, you'll never see it again. That's how they're always go, I should get that. And, oops, and it's gone. There's been books like that a lot. You can't find it anymore.
Yeah.
And that was just something that at the time, and we just thought that was kind of a cool thing to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to go back and buy old Bionicle shoes.
No.
But also because of comic books and that sort of, I'll say stories,
Yeah.
and the fact we went to Comic-Con is part of the reason why we have Power Squared,
Yeah.
which is sort of an interest that we could take the next step.
Yeah.
So that all kind of, again, collecting kind of adds to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to try to.
So
Bring it all
speaking of
back.
collecting, is there anything you like to collect?
No. Well, as a teenager, I got into the Beatles like late.
Yeah.
Um,
After the whole thing.
kind of. I did see them on Ed Sullivan
Right.
when they were first there, but that was kind of a fluke that I didn't remember that, I think.
Yeah.
And I did get the occasional album growing up, like, Let It Be and Sgt. Pepper, I think were the only two things I got.
Yeah.
As gifts. And I don't know who decided you should have this or how that decision was made, but
Yeah.
because I don't remember asking for them. But then I read the Hunter Davies book, which is not really, it is an authorized biography, but it's not the definitive biography of them by a long shot.
Yeah.
But that got me interested in them, and I started, trying to find as much of their music as I could. And I remember one time thinking that I had got everything that they had ever released,
Yeah.
and I was pretty jazzed about it. And I remember telling people that, and they're like, okay, who cares? But no, that's great, because they kind of, everybody else had moved on into other music by that time.
Yeah.
But and then it kind of led me into, I did buy a Lennon serigraph post, but Baby Grand, and that was kind of a fun thing and that got me a little bit into buying some art.
Yeah.
Bought a few pieces here and there, mostly serigraphs and stuff, but that was kind of fun. I remember as a teenager wanting the Butcher cover, which was kind of famous. If you haven't ever seen it, it's them dressed up in sort of lab coats and baby parts and baby doll parts
Right.
and meat. And they thought it was a kind of a cool image. It was sort of breaking the mold of the Fab Four. They liked that, and it was slapped on an album here called Yesterday and Today. And it took like a day or so for the record company to go, oh, what is this? And so they slapped another cover over it. And I remember getting one of those, buying that
Right.
from a guy that I think my mother met at a garage sale. But I have a butcher cover. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I knew somebody that had a cover that hadn't been steamed off yet,
Right.
and I couldn't take it. Anyway, so anyway, it's kind of fun to have that. And then right now, my holy grail of something would be one of the actually it's more of the thermos, but the lunchbox thermos from like '65
Yeah.
would be really cool to have a nice copy of that. So that's kind of my little. If I had $2,000, what would I buy? That would probably be it. I did have, part of the collecting again is finding something and desiring to own it
Yeah.
and actually getting around to owning it at some point. And that was for me. This little, it's kind of again, it's great for radio. I'm holding up a Corgi Yellow Submarine from 1968. And they used to have a Beetle Fest every year come through, and it would have a lot of vendors and people selling stuff that was, to Beetle fans. I met Billy Preston at one of those, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw this, Yellow Submarine, and at the time didn't have the money for it, so I saved up what the guy was asking. A year later, same guy had the same thing, so I ended up buying it from him. So that was, to me, it was kind of a cool, like, I really desired something for like a year,
Yeah.
and was able to get it. To me, that's part of the cool part of collecting.
Yeah.
And I would really I'd like to have a lunchbox, but I'd kind of like to see it before I, buy it off of eBay.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems a little, I don't know, a little detached to do it that way.
Right.
But I may end up doing it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, they're kind of the holy grail things to buy.
Yeah.
And I sort of unrelated to that is I do have Wings at the Speed of Sound that Paul McCartney actually signed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a cool thing. It's up in the house after 30-something years. I put it up. But, it's just that kind of stuff that's, and I didn't get a signature. It was somebody gave it to me that had been signed by him.
The point is, it was signed.
Yes, and that was really cool. So,
Are there any Beatle signatures you don't have?
yeah, I don't have John or George. I do have Ringo's on a photograph that he doesn't do autographs anymore apparently.
For whatever reason.
Just too cool for words. Peace, love, and all that. But he doesn't do signatures anymore, autographs anymore. And then you have to also be worried, concerned, or look out for when you go like on eBay. People say autographs. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's sometimes it's a fake.
Yeah.
Autograph. I have a picture from a publicity thing from American Airlines, and it's got the 4 Beatles signatures on it, but I'm pretty sure it's a machine that did that, and so you have to be careful of reproductions and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's even scarier to buy online. You
Yeah.
really want to see it and have somebody, reputable person sell it to you, not just.
Yeah, you'd want some kind of authentication on that.
Yeah, and I do kick myself. I think we were talking about this earlier. I did at the Beetle Fest where I bought this Corgi. They were having an auction that I sat through, and they were selling Beetle autographs. And I was like, I had the money for this, and I should have probably bought one of those. They were really cheap. And they were authenticated as much. They would have a picture of the person actually signing it or something like that.
Right.
So they were authenticated.
Authenticated.
Yes, that's the big word I couldn't say. But anyway, so it's fun to have and then the kind of the cool thing for me has been when we go to Comic-Con, there's usually 1 or 2 Beatle things there.
Yeah.
I bought those Kubricks one year,
Yeah.
and then there was somebody had those. I am not a huge fan. I mean, Yellow Submarine is not the end all for me, but there's a lot of Yellow Submarine stuff out there,
Yeah.
and it's really cool to get something that's like, I have a Beetle wig from the when Beetle wigs were out, and I have a little piece of wallpaper and things like that. I'd rather get stuff that's actually from the time as opposed to something they've put out now, though I do have some of that stuff.
Right.
Just because it's kind of, it's kind of a cool piece to have, or even some of the stuff back when Yellow Submarine came out, McFarlane put out a bunch of those toys, the boys, and the love symbol or the blue meanie or something. That stuff is worth a lot of money.
Right.
Even though it's kind of relatively current.
Yeah, it's interesting how crazy collector markets can get.
Yeah.
Especially during the pandemic, when the collector market for Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards actually has gotten to the point where retail stores have stopped selling Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and sports cards altogether because of overzealous scalpers.
Yeah, you have to be concerned about that if you're a store. You don't want people rioting in your aisles.
You don't want people jumping each other in the parking lot just for pieces of cardboard.
Right. So if somebody wants to collect something, and we're not telling anybody to collect something, is there something that words of wisdom you want to pass on?
If you're collecting, you should first set a boundary on what qualifies as a collection for you. For example, let's say you're collecting what we were doing, which was 2001 Transformers stuff. Our collection was basically the UK DVDs and toys of characters that were actually in the show. So we set that boundary, and we met that, and so that is a collection for us. If you are collecting something like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you should, again, make sure they are real, especially if they are expensive cards. You should probably budget yourself. How much are you willing to spend? TCGs in general, just do something small to get your feet wet, just to see if you like it, because these are also cards. You have to remember these are also cards you can play with, not just things you can flip for cash.
Right. Okay. So basically, you make sure that what you're getting is really what you think it is.
Yeah.
Okay. That to me is really important, because you don't want to buy, a fake. A fake book or something that you think is really cool, and it's not from the time you think it is, and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, then I ran into some of that with buying, Beatles stuff.
Yeah, and then also do your research.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay. All right. So that was just our little show about collecting, because it seemed timely for us.
Yeah.
All right.
If you are watching this on YouTube and you liked this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, ring the bell if you want to see when these go up, and leave a comment if you have anything you want to say about collecting, or maybe if there's something you want to see from our collections.
All right. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And this has been On the Air with Power Squared.